Hello people, today we are going to learn about the new process under the executing process group, which is called conduct procurement. So let's see. Conduct procurements is the process of obtaining sellers' responses, selecting a seller, and awarding a contract. The key benefit of this process is that it provides alignment of internal and external stakeholder expectations through established agreements. The inputs involved are procurement management plan, procurement documents, source selection criteria, seller proposal, project documents, make or buy decisions, procurement statement of work, and organizational process asset. The tools and techniques involved are bidder conference, proposal evaluation techniques, independent estimates, expert judgment, advertising, analytical techniques, procurement negotiation. The outputs are selected seller agreements, resource calendar, change request, project management plan updates, and project document updates. So the inputs are the first input is procurement management plan. Procurement management plan describes how the procurement processes will be managed from developing procurement documentation through contract closure. The second input is procurement document. It provides an audit trail for contracts and other agreements. Then there is source selection criteria that can include information on the supplier's required capabilities, capacity, delivery dates, product cost, life cycle cost, technical expertise, and the approach to the contract. The next input is seller proposals. It's prepared in response to the procurement document package, form the basic information that will be used by an evaluation body to select one or more successful bidders or sellers. The next thing is project documents that are often considered include the risk related contract decisions included within the risk register. The next input is make or buy decision. Organizations procuring goods or services analyze the need, identify resources, and then compare procurement strategies when deciding to buy. Organizations also evaluate the need of buying products versus making the items themselves. Factors that include make or buy decisions may include core capabilities of the organization, value delivered by the vendors meeting the need, risk associated with meeting the need in cost-effective manner, and capability internally compared with the vendor community. Next input is procurement statement of work. The procurement statement of work provides suppliers with a clearly stated set of goals, requirements, and outcomes from which they can provide a quantifiable response. The statement of work is a critical component of the procurement process and can be modified as needed through this process until a final agreement is in the place. The statement of work may include, but are not limited to, specifications, quantity desired, quality levels, performance data, period of performance, work location, and other requirements. The last input is organizational process asset. Elements of organizational process asset that can influence the conduct procurement include listing of prospective and previously qualified sellers, information on relevant past experience with sellers, both good and bad, and prior agreement. When a prior agreement is in place, the buyer and the seller roles will have already been decided by executive management. In some cases, the seller may already be working under a contract funded by the buyer or jointly by the both parties. The effort of the buyer and the seller in this process is to collectively prepare a procurement statement of work that will satisfy the requirement of the project. The parties will then negotiate a final contract for award. So let's learn about the tool and technique. The first technique is bidder conference. Bidder conference, or sometimes called as contractor conference, vendor conference, or pre-bid conferences, are meetings between the buyers and all prospective sellers prior to the submittal of a bid or proposal. They are used to ensure that the all prospective sellers have a clear and common understanding of the procurement requirements and that no bidders receive preferential treatment. To be fair, buyers should take care to ensure that all the prospective sellers hear every question from any individual prospective seller and every answer from the buyer. Typical fairness is addressed by techniques such as collecting questions from bidders or arranging field visits in advance of the bidder conferences. Responses to the question can be incorporated into the procurement document as amendments. The next technique is proposal evaluation technique. On complex procurements where source selection will be made based on the seller responses to previously defined weighted criteria, a formal evaluation review process will be defined by the buyer's procurement policies. The evaluation committee will make their selection for approval by management prior to the award. Independent estimates. For many procurement items, the procuring organization may elect to either prepare its own independent estimate or have an estimate of cost prepared by an outside professional estimator to serve as a benchmark on proposed responses. Significant differences in the cost estimates can be an indication that the procurement statement of work was deficient, ambiguous, and or that the prospective sellers either misunderstood or failed to respond fully to the procurement statement of work. The next technique is expert judgment. The expert judgment may be used in evaluating seller proposal. The evaluation of proposal may be accomplished by a multidisciplinary review team with expertise in each of the areas covered by the procurement documents and proposed contract. This can include expertise from functional disciplines such as contracting, legal, finance, accounting, engineering, design, research, development, sales, and manufacturing. The next technique is advertising. Existing list of potential sellers often can be expanded by placing advertisements in general circulation publications such as selected newspaper or in the specialty trade publications. Some organizations use online resources to communicate solicitations to the vendor community. Some government jurisdictions require public advertising or certain types of procurement items, and most government jurisdiction require public advertising or online posting of the pending government contracts. Next technique is analytical techniques. Procurement involve defining a need in such a way that the vendors can bring a value through their offerings. To ensure that the need can be and is met, analytical techniques can help organizations identify the readiness of a vendor to provide the desired end state, determine the cost expected to support budgeting, and avoid cost overrun due to changes. By examining past performance information, team may identify areas that may have more risk and that need to be monitored closely to ensure success of the project. The next thing is procurement negotiation. Procurement negotiations clarify the structure, requirements, and other terms of the purchases so that the mutual agreement can be reached prior to signing the contract. Final contract language reflect all the agreement reached. Subject covered which should include responsibilities, authority to make changes, applicable terms and governing law, tech and business management approaches, proprietary rights, contract financing, technical solution, overall schedule, payments, and price. Negotiations conclude with a contract document that can be executed by both buyer and the seller. For the first output is selected seller. The selected seller are those who have been judged in the competitive range based upon the outcome of the proposal or bid evaluation, who have negotiated a draft contract that will become the actual contract when an award is made. Final approval of all complex, high value, high risk procurement will generally require organizational senior management approval prior to award. Next output is agreements. A procurement agreement includes terms and conditions and may incorporate other items that the buyer specifies regarding what the seller is to perform or provide. It is the project team's responsibility to make certain that all agreements meet the specific needs of the project while adhering to the organization procurement policies. Deciding upon the application area, an agreement can also be called an understanding, a contract, a subcontract, or a purchase order. Regardless of the document's complexity, a contract is mutually binding legal agreement that obligates the seller to provide the specified product, services, or result, and obligates the buyer to compensate the seller. A contract is a legal relationship subject to the remedy in the courts. The major component in an agreement document will vary, but may include the statement of work or deliverables, schedule baseline, performance reporting, period of performance, roles and responsibilities, seller, seller's place of performance, pricing, payment terms, place of delivery, inspection and acceptance criteria, warranty, product support, limitation of liability, fees and retainers, penalties, incentives, insurance and performance bonds, subordinate contractor approvals, change request handling, termination clause, and alternative dispute resolution, which is also known as ADR mechanism. And the ADR method can be decided in advance as a part of the procurement award. The next output is resource calendar. The quantity and availability of the contracted resources and those dates on which each specific resource or resource group can be active or idle are documented. The next output is change request. Change request to the project management plan and its subsidiary plan and other components are processed for review and disposition through the perform integrated change control process. The next output is project management plan updates, and the updates include cost baseline, scope baseline, schedule baseline, communication management plan, and procurement management plan. Next output is project document updates, and the documents which are updated include requirement documentation, requirement traceability documentation, risk register, and stakeholder register. So guys, I hope you got some idea on how to conduct procurement. So come back to my channel or subscribe to my channel for more videos on PMP and other things. Thank you very much for watching. See you soon.